All right, this is Dan Meehan for Fight News Australia, and today we have Eternal lightweight champion Jack Becker, who's wasting no time in defending his title as he takes on Brentin Mumford at Eternal 63 on November 20th. Jack, how are you?
Good, man. Cheers for having me. Good to be
No worries
here.
at all. Thanks for stopping by. Now, I always have to ask this when I interview someone for the first time, but can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you found your way to MMA?
Yeah, for sure. I started my first training I pretty much from high school. There was a guy that was there was a guy that I just was in my year, and he kind of was always talking about it, and he was like, "Oh, come to a class." And then one day I was just like, "Why not? Like, let's go. Let's try it out." I'd seen it on TV, and I was like, "You know what? Like, that looks pretty crazy." And I consider myself someone that's kind of attracted to wild stuff. So I was just like, cool, like, let's go. And then I went with him, and on the first class I ever did, actually, it was like the worst experience you could have had. I had no conscious understanding of like health and fitness. Like, I did a lot of sport and I loved it, but my brain didn't really put two and two together that being healthy and training had that much of a connection. So I put it down to being like super dehydrated or maybe just unfit. But I did the warm up and just got full head spins and was like passing out after about 10 minutes. And I was so embarrassed. I was just like, this sucks. Like, these people are going to think I'm such a bitch. And I actually sat out for the class, felt so shit. I actually got picked up, went home. And the only thing that was in my mind was just like, that's not what they think of me. Like, I'll be back. And I went back and did better, and then went on from there. So yeah, so long story short, in high school, got into it, and I just kind of fell in love with it a bit. I think I wasn't shy from like contact sports, so I played a lot of rugby, so the whole like in your face of like the physicality wasn't a problem for me. Bit of a slow learner in the beginning, but yeah, I just kind of fell in love with that sport and just haven't stopped since then. And that was probably 2009, 2010.
Oh, there you go. And yeah, you sort of went on to establish yourself as sort of one of the top lightweights in Australia in pretty short order. But then you disappeared for 3 years. So yeah, where did you go?
So I mean, everyone kind of vanished a little bit over that initial COVID time, but had like a clear run for a while. I was 7-0, and then I fought for an Aussie title. I didn't win that. And then I just kind of was like, all right, well, what do I need to work on? This is what I need to work on. And then I don't know, maybe it was my ego a little bit, but I was like, all right, well, if it's striking that needs to be knuckled down on, give me a striker. Let's go. So I was a pretty good striker. I fought after him, and he beat me up pretty good as well. So it was like 7-0 and then 0-2. I wasn't unmotivated. I was just sort of like, okay, what do we got to do? Like, maybe let's just kind of break it down, simplify it, and start from scratch almost. But just kind of got back on it and was ready to fight again. And then I had and then I got injured, and then I was out for a year. So it's pretty unmotivating not being able to do what you love doing. But in saying that, like, I had awesome people around me, and I was still teaching a lot, and I had some good friends with me. So that year kind of flew by, and at the end of it, like, I spent a lot of that time not doing a lot, and then towards the end, it was like, all right, cool. Like, I got a bit of a fresh taste for it, and I got some drive and some hunger to be training hard again, and that's what I did. And then from there, it was like, all right, so had a couple of years without a win, and then had about a year and a bit without really training almost, or like without fighting. And then the first fight back was Aguilera on Coastal Combat, and it went well. It was, and then from there, I'm just kind of back on the wagon. So it was just a bit of a hiccup, bit of an unfortunate couple of years, but that's what it takes sometimes. Like, you got to eat it up and roll with the punches and just sort of do what you can do best from wherever you are. And that's kind of what my mentality with that was.
Yep, and the first fight back, as you mentioned, there was against Aiden Aguilera, and you sort of kind of pretty fired up figure after that one. Like, can you tell us a little bit about how you sort of felt after that win?
Yeah, it was. I got respect for him. He's a solid fighter. He's good. Good striker and solid ground game as well. So for that one, I didn't go in half-assed what's like at all. Like I didn't. It was a late notice fight, but I'm always training hard, so that wasn't a problem. So it was just kind of like, all right, cool, let's go. I've been waiting for a fight. Let's make it happen. Went over. It had been a while since I got in a cage, so it wasn't a performance that I was ecstatic with, but it was a solid win, and I can appreciate that now. But at the time, I was like, oh, like I came back after all this time, and I just sort of like fucking wrapped him up, and I was tight in the grappling, but there wasn't really much else. So that was a bit frustrating because I'd spent so much time working on a diverse game, and then it kind of was like, I think I got clipped by a flying knee or something really early, and it just sort of pulled me into the 2015 Jack Becker, and it was just like, well, let's make sure we win. I was a bit frustrated with that, but again, a win's a win. So the next fight from there was a little bit more striking, and it got to kind of show some of what I've been doing, and I was happy with it, to be honest. It wasn't like anything. I don't think you ever really have a flawless performance, but I was happy with it, and it was progress. So I'll consider that a win.
Yep, and that next fight that you're referring to, of course, was the Eternal flyweight champion Dan Hill, who you stopped early in round one. So it was a knockout win with punches, and which probably most outsiders looking in didn't expect. But I guess both yourself and Rod consider yourself kickboxers these days. But was that sort of part of the plan going in?
Honestly, the part of the plan for that was MMA. Like, I got nothing to hide. I do it all. So if you think that I'm going to come in with one idea and if I can't get that, I'm going to be broken, you're wrong. And I hope that that's what people expect. So it's like, let's go. This is MMA. Like, everything is involved, and I feel like I'm confident everywhere, and I'm willing to use everything and all the tools that I've got to win however I need to. And that was the strategy. It wasn't kickbox downhill. It was beat him in MMA with whatever I need to.
Yeah, and you captured, of course, the Eternal lightweight title with that win. So what does winning the title really mean to a fighter like yourself?
Like anything, I think every fight you sort of get. I think most fighters would agree. Every time you fight, there's little things that you see that you didn't necessarily know you were capable of, and it's just like a motivating feeling just to sort of see different bits and pieces of what I've practiced come together live and work. So it just, to me, it was affirmation of progress. I suppose that's probably the easiest way to put it. I really worked a lot of things, and on that day they did come out successfully.
Yeah, and of course you took the fight on short notice. What was the situation with that? Were you in training at the time? Was there any sort of COVID considerations when you got the call? How did that all come together?
The COVID stuff I didn't care about. I've got work that I need to do, but at the same time, like, my job and the people that I work with, we kind of work together, and it's a security business. So I had a couple of guys step up and take a bit of the load off me for the couple of weeks leading up, and it worked out getting over there. But yeah, I train full time. So between running a business and training full time, like, I'm good. Like, 3 weeks out is late notice for some, but if you train hard, I feel like it's not an issue. I was confident, and I was happy to even go 25 minutes if I needed to. So yeah, I was good to go.
And by the way, I've every time I watch you fight, I've always wanted to ask you this, but how on earth do you actually make lightweight? Like, you look huge every time you step in the cage. So what's that like?
Honestly, like, the weight cut's not hideous. I don't do anything silly. I just I'm pretty, what's the word? I'm pretty disciplined with diet and with everything, like right up until the last couple of days. It's like, yeah, it gets me over the line by a thread, but that's all I need. Like, I'm not cutting an amount where I feel like it's affecting my performance negatively. So yeah, I roll with it, and that's where I fight at, and it works for me, and I feel strong, I feel fit, I feel good at that weight.
Yep. And was a quick turnaround a part of the plan this time? Is this a sign of things to come for you, or is it just a matter of taking opportunities when they present themselves?
That's it. It was just opportunities when they present themselves. Just be active. Like, that's why I'm here. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to compete in this sport. I got nothing to hide. I didn't win a belt for fighting to avoid fights. I don't need a belt to sit at home and just hold. So that's for fighting, and I want another one, and I want to just keep going until something bigger presents itself. And that's the plan. Just sort of be active and keep winning. And if you don't keep winning, then whoever the call up you think is waiting for you is not coming. So you can fuck off that idea, because to me, it's like, just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll get what you deserve. So that's my mindset.
Yep. And the opponent this time out, of course, is Brentin Mumford. How do you feel you guys match up?
He's solid. He's a solid fighter. I've seen him win good fights. I've also seen him lose fights in ways that I think I could do that to him as well, to be honest. But I don't think it's any secret that I'm the better grappler. And he's a solid striker. He's a smart striker, and he's spent a lot of years in the sport, so he's going to be pretty well versed in everything. But I feel like my strengths outweigh his strengths, and in this matchup, I feel like it's in my favor.
Yep. And you guys are assembling a fair team now at Scrappy MMA with Rod Costa and Jack Della Maddalena and among others. What's the training room like down there these days?
Awesome. It's just a real healthy team mentality of no bullshit, work hard and work smart, look after each other. There's no heroes in there that are focusing more on winning training than they are on getting better. And that mentality seems to be sort of shared and spread from the top down, and it's multiplying. So the MMA team over the last year and a half has grown significantly in skill and in numbers. So it's going to be one of the biggest, if not already one of the biggest and most successful MMA gyms in Australia. I'm very confident and super stoked to be a part of it.
Yep. And of course, your teammate Jack Della Maddalena scored a UFC contract at the Contender Series recently. Can you give us a bit of insight into his journey and what it's like to work with him?
It's been awesome. It's just again, like same idea of just like a guy that's always learning and adapting, and not only a talented fighter and a nice dude, but a good training partner too. Like helps you learn, helps you get better. It's not necessarily about winning training sessions. It's about improving, and that's, again, like I said, it goes down from the top. So if the guys at the top are training selfishly, then it's going to kind of affect down the line negatively. And that's something that we don't have, which is the reason for, I think, a lot of the success in everyone who's coming through. Yeah, like super stoked for him. It's awesome to just see someone and be able to train with someone and feel their strengths and everything, and then watch them go out and perform like that. Like watching that fight was awesome, because that dude that he fought, he was a tough son of a bitch. Like there's not many people that I think can stand it and take what he took. So awesome, like good on him. And then Jack being able to have a pretty flawless performance like that, like just did so well. And it was awesome for the team to watch and be super stoked for him, and just get excited for what's next coming up in Jan.
Yep. And for you personally, you're obviously back in the game now, 9-2 record. You've got the Eternal title to boot. So what are your sort of long-term aspirations in MMA?
I'd love to be signed to a bigger promotion, and I think I'm capable of getting in and being successful in there as well. I suppose in the next couple of fights, you just, like I was saying before, just keep winning, keep doing the right thing, and opportunities will come. And that's my mentality. I don't have any need to sit and wait for something that's coming. It's like nothing good comes to people waiting, I imagine, in this sport. Just go get it. That's what I'm doing. And yeah, I don't see anything changing for me. It's just like, wake up, go train, get ready for a fight, win it, and then keep going, and things will come. But that's where I'm at, and that's my focus. So yeah, like UFC, Bellator, ONE FC, like there's so many big things happening right now. If you're winning, you're gonna end up in the right place.
Absolutely. Do you get any sort of idea or inkling that any of the big promotions are watching? Or
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure. I've had inklings before. When I was going to fight, well, when I was fighting Callum Potter for the Australian title, there was a UFC scout that was messaging me a little bit. But I wouldn't even say it was a distraction. It was just that fight was a bit over my head. I think at the time my approach to that fight wasn't as smart as it could have been with my skill set. And that was the result. I think if I had won that fight, Callum got signed to the UFC. I may have got signed to the UFC if I had won. And it's not something that stresses me. I wasn't quite ready for that, I don't think. But I mean, anyone can get signed before they're a little bit ready. It's what you do from that day forward and how quickly you can adapt that matters. But yeah, in answer to your question, no, not really sure. With Jack being signed, no doubt Australian MMA has a little bit more eyes on it in general, because I truly think he's gonna rise the rankings pretty quick. He's a very diverse fighter, and the way that he trains is I agree with it, and I think he's just gonna keep progressing like the way that we're going. I'm super excited for him, and if it brings some eyes onto the team, awesome.
Definitely. And yeah, speaking of sort of being ready or not ready, do you sort of have a time frame in mind for when you'd like to sort of make that jump up to the big time?
I feel pretty well-rounded to start looking in that direction. Yeah, I'm confident. I don't. Yeah, no. If there was a call up that came, I wouldn't be shying away from that by any means. I'm just I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm training. I'm getting better every day, and I enjoy being at the gym and working hard. So whatever comes my way, I'm good for. I'm excited for that.
Yep, and you mentioned one championship actually, and when you were reeling off the promotions there. But I noticed when looking down your record that you fought the now one lightweight title holder Okre Yoon before you had that layoff a few years back. And needless to say, that loss has aged pretty well, as Ok has just beaten Murat Gafarov, Eddie Alvarez, and Christian Lee in consecutive fights. So, what was it like sharing the cage with him? And did you have any sort of inkling of what he was capable of back then?
Not really. I knew he was for that particular fight. It's funny now looking at it. It's like that was the one that I said, like, give me a striker, let's go. Like, how ironic that was who it was, but it's cool. Like, I think being able to put that in the bank and have 5-5s with a guy like that, it was a huge lesson for me. Like, I took so much from that fight. Yeah, it ended in a decision, and a decision that I couldn't disagree with. Round 1 was mine for sure. Round 2 was close. And I just didn't quite manage myself efficiently enough to win the 5-5s. But I tested him and I gave him everything that I had, and he's a tough motherfucker. Like, that's what I took from that as well. I've not hurt anyone as bad as I hurt him in a fight, and then had him just sort of walk back at me in round 2, 3, and 4. So, yeah, it was a huge learning curve for me, mentally, physically, preparation wise. But no, he was, yeah, it was a while ago, but yeah, it was a bit more grappling in round 1 and 2. And then towards the later rounds was just more striking. But yeah, he was a savage. He was tough.
Absolutely. I think there's some, some big names in MMA that have had a similar experience to you against him. So there's certainly no shame there. But Jack, before I let you go, do you have any sponsors or anyone you'd like to shout out? I'll hand the reins over to you.
The main ones are Scrappy and Costa Academy. Like without those guys, like I wouldn't be able to do what I love every day, and that means a lot to me and the guys around me. So Ben Vickers, Rod Costa, the guys that sort of help me be where I love, they're the real sponsors, really. Other than that, StreetX, I've recently picked up an ambassadorship role with RVCA, so that's exciting, making some movements with RVCA. What else we got? Yeah, I think for the most part, if I start rolling off names, I'm going to be here for too long. But yeah, anyone that does anything that helps me do what I do, like their help will never be forgotten. So yeah, that's a long list of people.
Perfect. Well, Jack, thank you so much for stopping by, and all the best at Eternal 63.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for chatting.